Hi, David. How are you?
I'm very good. How about yourself?
I'm not too bad myself, too. It's
Yeah.
great. Well, before we go too into the new album, Forgotten Toys, I read somewhere that your father took an interest in your poems when you were little. Um, was there a specific poem that your father liked that you'd
There
written?
was a when John F. Kennedy, the president, got shot in 1962, I believe it was.
Three, yeah.
I was in the third grade, I think, and I wrote a poem called PT 109. It's about him rescuing the guys on his ship and during World War II. And it was a little poem, and it had a little couple of little rhymes in it. But caught my father's eye, and he told me that I should think about becoming a songwriter. And I was only like 8 years old, but he was hanging out with a lot of songwriters like Paul Francis Webster and Rod McEwen and Jimmy Webb and people like that. I got to know when I was like 10 years old. So I was influenced by songwriters, and I thought that maybe could be possibly something I could do.
But what was it specifically? Do you still recall that poem? Can you say now
I
in
know I
hindsight?
can't recall it.
Oh, you
I
can't
can't
recall it.
recall
No,
it.
no, no, no.
I just can't recall it.
Could be maybe that your father saved it. I don't know. If you what at an early age, what did you like about writing and words and
I just liked the rhyming of the words. I thought it was a challenge, like a crossword puzzle, to come up with the right word to fit in the thing and yet still have meaning.
Mhm.
And but I was really interested in piano at the time, and I'd played drums too. So I sat with next to every big band, really famous drummers and stuff. And then I started playing piano when I was 8, and started taking lessons and trying to follow in my father's footsteps from the arranging standpoint by watching him write music all day long.
So can you say that? Well, what was your first love then? Was it writing or was it playing the piano?
I think playing the piano. I'm
Why?
a real slow writer. I'm a real slow writer. It takes me a long time to write lyrics or music. So it's a labor of love. That's why I end up just co-writing with people sometimes, because it's easier when you bounce off of somebody.
Yeah. Um, Playing the piano. What did you like about playing the piano when you were really an early age? What did it give you? Did it comfort you, or did it give you
Yeah, it
energy?
did. It gave me the freedom to just play what I wanted to play. My dad wanted me to study classical music, but my heart was in rock and roll. So I was trying to play like Leon Russell, and later on in 1970, Elton John, when he came out. He just absolutely destroyed me with his style, and I thought he was the most fantastic talent that ever hit the earth.
What makes him so good in your opinion? You were 18 then when he entered
Yeah,
the scene in 1970?
yeah, and
16, I mean, sorry, yeah.
yeah. Um, he just had it all. He had classical underpinnings of his piano playing, and he had the bluesy singing, but he had all these strings what Paul Buckmaster wrote that were so great with his arrangements and everything. And he just had a little bit of everything, but mainly his voice and his piano playing, and the lyrics that Bernie was writing were incredible.
Yeah. So when did you start in writing your own material?
About that time when Elton came out, I started writing things like, he had songs like The King Must Die, and I wrote a song called Face Beneath the Crown. I was copying Elton John songs, doing my own version of Elton John, of me doing Elton John. So, it took me a while before I started falling into my own pace and my own finding myself.
What was the first song that you're actually really proud of? This first song you wrote yourself?
Uh, yeah, it was called like Face Beneath the Crown, but my first recorded song was a song that became a minor hit. It was called Houston, I'm Coming to See You. And it was recorded by Glenn Campbell, the country artist. And I was about 19 at the time. And he recorded it. It was a minor hit, but it was still a little bit of a hit record. So that kind of launched me on my way. that's when I found out that I really wanted to become a songwriter and play keyboards.
What was during that trip when you, well, like you were saying, the first song that you wrote for Clan Campbell, I mean, the song that became a minor hit. Did you bounce off your father in those years too? Did you?
I absolutely I did. My father was my best supporter, but he was also a very sensitive critic and could constructively criticize something that I've done. But he was the one that took the song, my song Houston, took it to Glenn Campbell because he thought it was a great song. And I just thought it was one of my first tries at doing a song. So I was ecstatic,
But in hindsight, can you tell what made the song good from your father's opinion?
I think Glenn Campbell's singing sold the song, but it had a kind of a hook. It was kind of a hooky chorus, You'd have to hear the record to know what I'm talking about, but it's kind of in the style of Jimmy Webb doing Galveston, and by the time I get to Phoenix, it's almost in that style.
Right. Well, then Toto, of course, and then all the things that you did. If you look back, what was really important step for Toto to take to became as big as you became?
I think the first step was in getting the right players into a band that all were like-minded, and then seeing how they adapted to the material. That I was writing most of the material at the time. There was a couple other people that were starting to write, but I had the finished material. So I listened to the way the guys were playing it. It just everything fell into place as a band. So when we first started playing, I think one of the first rehearsals, we rehearsed Hold the Line, and that became a big record for us, right out of the bat. So we had confidence, a lot of confidence from the get-go. And to this day, I think we look back as saying, it just validated us as a band and helped launch our career.
If you compare when you wrote Hold the Line and then when you actually brought it to the band, did it change a lot? Did it alter a lot? Was it?
No, it just filled in with all the right parts. You know what I mean? I just had a piano part. I was playing it, but I had heard the guitars in my head, and I heard the drums in my head too. But Jeff Porcaro, I never had to tell him what to play. He always knew exactly the right thing to play. And same with Steve Lukather. As soon as I started playing the piano part, he jumped on it and played the right guitar part that I was hearing in my head. And so the bass was simple enough, and Bobby Kimball sang the shit out of it when he got a hold of the melody.
And is it how do you what is it like you were saying that Jeff and Steve, they immediately knew what to play when you had in your head? Is it musical chemistry or what is it?
Yeah, total musical chemistry and like-minded musicians, but you have to have the technique. You have to really know, have your technique down and your ability to play and ears and your ability to listen a lot, as a songwriter. That's what you try and do, I think, is when you're playing other people's songs, I think you try and play it like it was your own song and imagine it that way. So you leave room and space for the singer and the various parts of the arrangement to flow.
So no really big egos then?
No what?
No really big egos are needed then?
No, you got to leave the egos at the door. That's what Quincy Jones always says. Leave your ego at the door.
Yeah. Well, you've written many songs. Is there one Toto song that you say, well, that's my pinnacle. That's the one I really like?
I would have to say Rosanna is probably one of the pinnacle songs that I've written and that I enjoy most because it's got these different sections in it, and it's interesting, I think. And the band gives a powerful performance, and you actually demonstrate the different players in the band. It starts out with a drum intro, then it goes into a synthesizer solo, then it goes into a guitar solo, then there's more piano and guitar at the very end. So I think it demonstrates the band's exceptional musicality and shows what we can do under the frame of a pop record, what you can get away with,
Yeah, I mean musical wise. I mean not your
Yeah.
typical songwriting, but actually more and enduring and yeah.
Yeah. Basically, we just try and see what we can get away with, you know?
What did you get away with that song? Can you explain?
Well, we got a spit synth solo in the middle of here's a pop song, but normally would have like a saxophone or maybe a guitar, but it's just a short solo, one little short solo. And there ended up being two solos that were tremendous solos. I mean, they were monumental playing on it. Well, on the Steve Porcaro did on the synth solo, and Steve Lukather did an incredible guitar solo. So it was just at the very end, we just faded out jamming. Like we have a band in the United States called Little Feat it's one of our favorite bands. And so did a little tribute to Little Feat at the end there, played a little New Orleans kind of music there. So that song had it all.
Did you discuss this song with your dad?
After I recorded it, I played him a little bit of it, you know, and he liked how it had had a little swinging. It swung like jazz did, you know what I mean? So he liked it a lot.
Was he how did he advise you during those years? Because I think he passed away.
He didn't advise me too much. I pretty much was on my own to do things, you know. He just said, make sure that your tracks are all tight so you can splice. So you can splice from cut from track to track if you want to combine a track, and say you have a take one is good, but take three is good also. You can use parts of both, and that was the old days before computers, where you had to take a razor blade and cut the tape and splice it together, which engineers did all the time. You know.
And now it has it become easier now?
It's been so much easier now to splice tape, and no more tape splicing. It's all done digitally on computer, and it's a lot quicker. And of course, there's a lot more options now because you have a multitude of tracks. So you have to kind of know how to arrange and how to engineer at the same time to group tracks together. And it's the art of record producing.
Okay, can't you tell that now with how the recordings are being done now, that it isn't that necessary to be tied as a band anymore, or?
Yeah, there's a certain amount of that. What you're talking about, there's a certain truth to that, where before Toto was the band that was called in to play things almost perfect. You know what I mean? It's getting as close to steady beat and playing in tune and doing all the things following. But now everybody can be in tune mechanically, digitally, and also the time. They have autocorrect on the time. So that's why all these artists that are incredible singers, but you hear these incredible tracks underneath them, because a lot of them were done with machines and people manipulating machines to autocorrect the time and to pitch correct the vocals. So it kind of make it an even playing field, where before Toto was a real special thing to get Toto to cut a track meant you got pretty close to perfection on it, you know.
But is the feeling still there?
I think the feeling still is there, yeah, because it's the way that I make records. I like to use a little bit of both. I like to use a little bit of the machines for my blueprint, my demo, but then I replace the things with real people on it, and I think it gives it a human quality. But some of the things I leave, it's hard to tell which of those I leave and which I don't. You know.
Yeah. One thing that I read. What is the best thing that you brought to the arrangements of The Girl Is Mine? For you,
that wasn't too hard, because Paul McCartney, when I walked in the room, he was playing the song, so I just had to listen to him as to what I should play. I can't believe they had me play piano on a Paul McCartney song, but he was very nice, and Linda was there, George Martin was there, Jeffrey Emmerich was there, and Quincy Jones was there, and Michael Jackson. So it was all, what I call rarefied air in that room that day, and it was really great artistry all around. And all I had to do was just play, and I made a couple suggestions to start soft and to get louder, and to modulate and stuff like that. But basically, the tune was already there. All we had to do was read the music and play it with Paul McCartney, and it kind of played itself.
And what did you, is there something that you learned from those sessions that you thought, well, hey, I didn't know that the way Michael Jackson worked or the way Paul McCartney worked?
I learned from those sessions how easy Paul McCartney is to work with. And if you have a song, you know what I mean? He pretty much liked it, what we were doing. Well, there wasn't a big struggle and a lot of tearing your hair out trying to figure out what the artist wanted. It was pretty simple. And him singing and his piano part and everything. All I had to do was copy his piano part, and pretty much the arrangement took care of itself.
Yeah. Forgotten toys. You had toys lying around, songs lying around.
I had some songs. I had pieces of songs.
Yeah. What was the oldest?
I think Lucy. I think Lucy is the oldest one, which I did about 7 years ago, and it was supposed to go on a solo record. I wanted to do a solo project with another keyboard player named Mike Lang, very famous, legendary keyboard player and session player in Los Angeles. And we did it for a solo record, but it never came to fruition because he was busy and I got busy. So I dusted it off and said, well, I'm just going to add a little bit of scatting to it. And I want this to go on my record here because it's so close to me. And I was the one that came up with the composition. And Mike played the solo on it. So that's about the oldest one.
Who is Lucy?
Lucy is, I took that from the cartoon character. I was a big Vince Guaraldi fan when he wrote the theme to Peanuts. Vince Guaraldi, and he also wrote Cast Your Fate to the Wind. So I was kind of in that mode here. I wanted to write a counterpoint to Peanuts and call it Lucy, because it reminded me of my sister. The character Lucy, the comic, reminds me of my sister a little bit. So it was kind of encompassed in all of that.
Now, what part of did remind you of your sister?
My sister is when he's going to go kick the football, and she picks the football up, and he kicks the air and falls down. That's my sister used to do that to me.
Okay. Queen Charade. Who are you gonna woo today is a lyric that you wrote in that song. What inspired the song for you?
What inspired the song?
Who is the who? Who is the who?
Who's the who? Who are you gonna woo today? That's a good question. The song came. It was inspired by Keith Richards, who I got to work with on a solo album 4 years ago called Cross-Eyed Heart. I got to play on one cut, and I did one take, and that was it. That's all I needed. And Steve Jordan hired me. He was producing Keith's album, and he's currently the drummer with the Rolling Stones. And so that inspired me. And what else inspired me? There's a Tchaikovsky opera called Queen of Spades, and it had the basic storyline that I basically loosely based a Queen Charade on, about a gambler, an obsessed gambler, and a cunning duchess who managed to rip everybody off with her card trick, with her prowess, and get sexual favors and what have you. So it was those two things between playing with Keith Richards and the Tchaikovsky Queen of Spades. That's where I got it.
Yeah, there's Queen of Spades is the who then. And in what way did Keith Richards inspire you? Can you be a bit more precise?
Well, just the way he's played all these years, the way he does his intros with guitar, and how reckless and cavalier he is with the stuff, you know, how he doesn't try and make things too tight and everything. And some of the chord suspensions, the chord inversions that he used, I try and copy some of those sometimes, because I just love the way he plays, like Brown Sugar and all these intros that he's done on these songs have always been great. And they're very guitar oriented. So I had Don Felder play slide on it, and I had Steve Lukather, who does great. He's a great rhythm guitarist. And he even brought in a Telecaster guitar, where he usually plays the Steve Lukather model guitar. But for this one, he brought in a guitar like Keith plays and played it. And it was, I just had a big smile on my face the whole day.
Yeah, and the first song, Forward, I think it's a nice piece of music. So you begin and you end the song with I think with the album, the EP with instrumentals. What inspired Forward?
Forward, I wanted to people to recognize I have this side of me that really wanted to be a cinematic film composer, but I was only able to do films in short spurts like that. You know what I mean? I have a little ideas, but I don't have the length that, say, like a James Newton Howard or Jerry Goldsmith, who I got to work with both of those guys, Jerry Goldsmith and James Newton Howard. And so that inspired me to, I wanted to tip my hat to the film composers and said, guys, I hear you out there, and I'm one of you. I think like you guys do, and I'd love to do that someday. You know.
What sort of movie would Forward be fitting to?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe someone flying in a plane, something like that. Flying, yeah. You know.
Yeah, and then the song "Will I Belong to You" with no, the words are written just after each other.
Yeah.
Specific reason?
Yes, that was a song that's a song about a father and a daughter. A father singing to his daughter, and it was about my daughter coming of age, watching her grow up through her teens, and now she's in her early 30s. And I'm just as a father. Hoping that watching his daughter fall in love for the first time and finding true love, and he's doesn't quite sure how to handle it, but he's accepting it as she comes of age. So, and then my daughter was snuck in the studio without my knowledge and sang a little vocal on it, an answer vocal, and it melted my heart when I heard it. First, I was a little annoyed, because I was thought, like, what are you doing in the studio playing them with my records? And she said, well, I just did something. You didn't need to check it out, man. And I was really pleasantly surprised. So it's a father-daughter special gift for me.
But did she know that the song was written about your relationship with her?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it hard for you to see her come of age?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Is it hard for you to see her come of age?
No, it's a beautiful thing. It's really wonderful. You know what I mean? To see her grow into a young woman, go from a baby to a teenager to a young woman, and it's really miraculous and magical. And she works. She's a music producer in video games. She produces music for video game trailers. So we're constantly talking about orchestras and movies and cinematic stuff and everything. So it's a great bond.
Do you help her, or
I do occasionally? Every once in a while, she has a question for me, but very rarely.
But I can see. But you said with Forward that you would like to go more into cinematic.
Yeah, I would.
Maybe the two of you could work together.
Well, I keep nudging her. I keep saying, "Don't you have any work for your father?"
Yeah,
could be. I keep telling her.
Yeah. Spirit of the Moonrise.
Yes.
Saw it in a dream. A girl rides across her native land.
Yeah.
Was it inspired by the Native Americans or something, or am I?
Yes, it was, but it was just a dream, and that's how that's what my thoughts were that it was. I couldn't really describe what it was accurately, except a girl on a painted horse. So Joseph Williams helped me write the song, the lyrics, and we want to describe it as a girl riding across her native land, which is like Native American, and trying to find her homeland again. And we just kind of took it from there. I brought Mike McDonald in on it to sing the chorus with me, and he also sang some of the step outs at the very end. And of course, Steve Lukather plays a brilliant guitar solo on it. So I think it was one of my favorite songs.
Is it something that you think about a lot? Well, the Native Americans.
Yeah, I do. You know, there's California where I live has all been, you know, we're Indians all around, Navajo Indians, Chumash Indians, and they kind of got dealt a bad hand by the United States early on here, as far as getting their land taken away from them. So it's there's a certain amount of guilt that goes along with being an American, that what happened to the Native Americans. So I think I share in that guilt, and that was kind of I wanted to show that in the song a little bit.
Is there something that you would want to happen maybe with this guilt or with the situation?
No, I just think that the more that we can do for Indians, the more that we can help them, and not just give them casinos, but just help them in general. I think we owe them a debt. I'm not sure how to repay that, except in giving them more land, or just being inclusive of them when it comes to all things. You know what I mean? Just like I know that the Oscars are just apologized to Marlon Brando for when he sent the girl, he sent an Indian to not accept his award, to refuse to accept his award because of the way the Indians were mistreated. Well, he got a lot of flack for that. It was booed. It was really a bad thing in the industry. And just recently, the Motion Picture Academy gave her a huge public apology for the way they treated her. You know, so there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah. First time, I used to think that I was so wise. Is it about you?
Yes, absolutely. Father-daughter song from my perspective, and watching my daughter come of age. You know.
And what I used to think that I was so wise. Was there a specific occasion that happened, or a specific memory that you had in mind?
In general, every day, every once a week, it goes by where I thought I really knew something, but I didn't, and I get pleasantly surprised all the time with new knowledge, things that my daughter's done that I wasn't aware that she's experienced before, all kinds of things.
Well, you said when we started this interview, a poem that you say, well, actually writing is a labor of love. What was it for you to write? To actually write the lyrics to these 7 songs, but actually you wrote 5 songs, lyrics to.
Yeah.
Was it hard?
It's always a little bit pulling teeth with me because it's a very slow process, because I really, words are special, but I'm not that eloquent and that well read enough. I wish I'd been an English lit teacher like Sting or Mark Knopfler or Donald and Walter from Steely Dan. But so I got to dig a little bit deeper and sometimes rely on a partner to help me co-write the songs. But once you get it right, I get the lyrics right, I'm really happy. It's a great satisfaction to finally get lyrics right. That's my main challenge today. Not so much the music, that comes quickly to me, but picking out what words I'm going to sing and how they're sung is very important to me, you know.
Is there one song that you wrote, the lyrics to one song that you say, Joseph Williams or someone else helped you and say, putting together that line, or maybe finding that word that really made the song write itself? Do you have an example?
Just all the tears that shine. There's a sub-line that goes, deep pools, tears of pools, or something like that. I can't remember the exact line right now. It just escapes me because we're being interviewed right now, so I can't remember it. So there's some lines on all the tears that shine are some of my favorite lines.
Yeah, I think the line that I wrote down of this is, all I see is you and a fool in love.
Yeah, a fool in love. That's right.
And who is the fool in love?
That's me. And Mike Sherwood. I think Mike Sherwood probably felt the same way.
Yeah.
You know, he passed away this last year, by the way. So that's one of the reasons why I put it on the record, is because he did the original demo vocal on it. And I wasn't happy. I recorded the song on Toto 14, but I was not happy with my vocal on it. So I wanted to honor him and pay a homage to him in putting out the version that he did. And then I arranged the rest of it and brought Brian. Eno sent a little intro, a little beacon beeping sound that starts with the intro and ends with the same beeping. That threads the song together. So that was kind of interesting.
Last question. This is your first solo album. You're 69 now. Oh, no, 68. Sorry, 68. Sorry, yeah, sorry, 68. What is it like to actually release your first solo album?
God, to be old and white, you know what I mean? It's kind of an awkward age, but it's a great age, you know. And I feel like if I knew then what I know now, I've made so many better choices in certain things. And but I've taken. I have my health, I have my family, and I have my music, and I'm pretty happy with the way things have gone.
Yeah. Actually, more solo albums of you to come?
I'm sorry?
Are there more solo albums to come?
I hope so. I can't promise anything right now because I'm just finished this one here. So hopefully I'll find some other pieces and maybe write some new things, you know.
And is it for you what are your plans now with this album?
My plan is to take a little time off and do a little traveling with my wife. I'm going to be going to the Zurich Film Festival on the 25th of September with a few friends like Ray Parker Jr., Nathan East, and maybe do some writing there and just see what lies in store. Take it 1 week at a time.
Sounds great. David, may I thank you?
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time. Yeah.
Let's do it again.
Yeah, we'll do it. Thank you.